You know, for all the people complaining out there that Pixar only does sequels nowadays and no more original content, first of all, we actually got a lot of them throughout the pandemic days on Disney Plus with titles like Soul, Turning Red, Luca. All of those were really solid films that I would have loved to have seen on the big screen. So I was chomping at the bit to see Elemental. Elemental is Pixar's newest cinematic achievement. Finally, an original idea from one of the best studios working right now. This was directed by Sohn, who brought you The Good Dinosaur back in 2015. A more middling Pixar product. I think this guy absolutely surpassed it with Elemental. Alright, so in a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together, a fiery young woman and a go-with-the-flow guy discover something elemental, how much they actually have in common. And you guessed it, this is a West Side Story-style romantic comedy. You've seen these given circumstances before. These are two star-crossed lovers from warring factions within the gigantic city landscape. Definitely feels very much like a West Side Story or a Romeo and Juliet. Lots of similar elements thrown into Elemental and a lot of callbacks to those plots. But that's just the thing. This is one of my favorite studios in Pixar putting together a romantic comedy. A genre that can be pretty hit or miss. I know. Romantic comedies are an acquired taste. Sue me, I enjoy them. If there's rom-coms out there that are done really well, like a Jerry Maguire, for example, you can strike gold. And I think Pixar, with their stellar animation, which should come as no surprise, I think they've absolutely struck gold here with Elemental. This movie is seeping with so many sparks of ideas. It was almost overstimulating to see so much inventiveness seeping through the silver screen. You've seen a lot of creative elements coming from the trailer of this film, but honestly, I don't know if that does this movie justice, because the trailer didn't really make me all that excited to see it. I was kind of looking at, Element City, okay, this is kind of another Inside Out where all these elements kind of have to come together and interact. Because when the fire people come in as outsiders, yeah, that can be taken as an allegory in a lot of ways. But again, you've seen this type of story before. But it's the way that Pixar goes about presenting this material that makes Elemental stand out. Like I said, just look at some of these press images I'm showing you right now. Elemental is gorgeous. I love that these animators were able to mold the character of Wade and really showcase the fact that they can animate water really well. You can see through him. There's so many creative shots when you look at Wade. Well, not to mention, this screenplay is really, really darn funny. If you guys are not fans of dad jokes, I'm sorry, you're going to be experiencing so many water puns throughout this runtime. And I groaned at a lot of the jokes, but in a good way, you know, like the jokes made sense. But one thing that really struck me about Elemental above all else are two main characters. What makes an effective rom-com so effective is actually the leads and how interesting they are. Thankfully, both Ember and Wade are so freaking compelling. Ember is the workaholic who's kind of a hothead. She's got a short temper, and she's under the pressure cooker because she has to take over her father's business as he enters retirement. And while I'm on him, the father character in this is really freaking compelling as well. This is something that Disney either kind of hits or misses when it comes to the intrigue of the father. But this guy kind of reminded me a lot of King Triton in a lot of ways. Super overprotective of his daughter, and a lot of tragedy in his backstory. I don't know, please do not overlook this father character when you go to see this movie, because you're really gonna feel for him and you understand why he is the way he is. But with Ember's personality, you kind of have to match it perfectly with Wade. And he's the dorky smart aleck. Both of these characters came off super relatable to me, and when you put them together, their chemistry is absolutely dynamite. And as you inch closer to the third act, you will kind of feel the emotions start creeping in too. Now again, a lot of these story elements are stuff that you've seen in other movies before, but it's Pixar's method of presenting this material that really hits you in the feels. And I don't know if this also has to do with the musical score by Thomas Newman, who also composed the music to Finding Nemo, but he just knows how to strike the right chord with you. No pun intended. Guys, I dare not give away all the humor of this movie. I dare not give away all the emotional plot elements here. For anybody who is complaining that Pixar is not putting out enough original content, now is your chance to tell them that. Because I was kind of disheartened to see this theater mostly empty tonight. Now, I get it. It's mostly because The Flash is also premiering the same weekend. But this is Pixar, for crying out loud. This should have been packed out the gills. And I don't even think it was a third full tonight. And I was sitting there like, really? This is the turnout for a Pixar movie after a pandemic of mostly Disney Plus original films? So I strongly urge you guys, please go and support Elemental this weekend or next weekend or as the weeks go by. Please go give money to this movie because I think they absolutely deserve it. The work and the passion is unbridled. Pixar knows how to do it. And this might be one of my favorite romantic comedies I've seen in a while. Now, one big issue that I have with Elemental, the fire and the water elements, I get it. That's your main story, and you have to focus on those two characters, which are great. But you should be showcasing all four elements practically equally. And aside from a couple of comedic gags, the air and earth elements are kind of afterthoughts by comparison. And I think for a movie that's actually named after all the elements for that matter, and it actually gives you Easter eggs for every single element in the font of the movie title, I was kind of disappointed to see that they were kind of relegated to sidekick characters. But besides that big issue, I really dug Elemental. I think this is a darling romantic comedy that will leave you clamoring for more. Your two main characters have adorable chemistry. You have really interesting fatherly characters. And Pixar's done it again. It's given you a colorful, inventive, original idea, which for a studio that's coming out with mostly sequels in the coming years, this is something that we need from them. I'm going to give Elemental a B+. I don't know if that's just the Disney nerd in me stamping my approval on this thing. But again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you guys don't go and support this in the movie theaters, we're not really going to get a whole lot more original Pixar content anymore. But let me know what you thought of Elemental down in the comments section below. And let me know what your favorite romantic comedy of all time is. Guys, I love discussing all things in movies and entertainment over here on the regular. If you guys enjoy all these topics, this channel is the place to be, trust me. So please do consider subscribing today, and please tap the like button as well. Really helps with that algorithm and helps continue to spread this content out there to lovely viewers like you. But guys, look out for more reviews very soon. Looking forward to seeing The Flash tomorrow at the time of recording. Everybody's been hyping that movie out the wazoo, so I'm sitting here antsy to see it. Point blank. All that and much, much more in what continues to be a jam-packed summer, including Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. There was a trailer for Barbie that came on before this movie, which I was sitting there like, that's going to be a good one. Call me crazy, but it's going to be a good one. But guys, y'all are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.